need to, there. It's still getting an echo. Hang on. There, that's better. Can everybody hear me? Good, good. Welcome back to this journey on entrepreneurship, the entrepreneurial training and one-on-one mentoring to create space for the empowerment of Indigenous businesses. It's great that you've come back. We have a good crowd here tonight. Before we get started, I would encourage you to use the chat function on the right-hand side. You can give me your comments and feedback and questions as, there's Tina. Questions as we go along. Okay, don't need that. Okay, can everybody still hear me? Yes? Yeah, you're choppy again, echoes, I'm here. Okay, good. Can everybody still hear me? Somebody give me a yes. Everybody looking forward to today's. Yes, good. Where are we? Yeah, today's session, we're going to be talking about business plans and budgeting. Business plans is something everybody loves to hate, but it's a very necessary part of entrepreneurship, and I will explain why. Part of what we're going to be doing with the business plans themselves, I can send you to a dozen, 24 different sites that have some great business plan models for you to follow. But what they don't explain to you is what you're trying to get across in the business plan. In other words, not from your perspective, but the person who's reading it. What are they looking for? And that's really critical. And we're going to be talking about different audiences for your different business plans, etc. So one of the things I wanted to talk to you about, where is it? One of the things I wanted to talk to you about is the awards, business awards. And no picture, no volume. I don't understand. So everybody's got a picture, everybody's got a volume, everybody can hear me. Somebody tell me yes, Tina, can you hear me? Yes? Good. Good. Okay. At the end of the series of workshops, we have 16 workshops altogether. And then we have 2 more sessions of the awards ceremony. There's a competition for the best ideas, the most innovative ideas, the most serious business ideas and business plans presented. And we don't need an entire business plan for the submission. The deadline is June 15th, so you have time to get something put together. There is an application form. There is an application form at the site, http://helloiamanentrepreneur.com/thriving. And on there you will see a link for a Word document. It's about 3 pages long. It shouldn't really deter you from submitting, because the prizes for the potential best businesses range anywhere from $500 to $1,000 for the best business ideas presented. So I would encourage you all to take a serious look at this application form, the submission form. See if you can answer all the questions. If you need any help with completing the submission form, you can call me or you can email me. But I think it would be really good for as many of you as can to get this submitted, because it represents a good kickstart for your business. You know, in a lot of cases, businesses can get started on $500, $750, $1,000, buys a fair amount of business startup funds. Okay, good. So one of the things I would like to do is start with the acknowledgement. That's quite important. I would like to take a moment to acknowledge with respect the traditional territory of the Lekwungen people, whose lands this program is based, and the Songhees, Esquimalt, and Wisconsin peoples, whose historic relationship continues on with the land to this day. We thank you all for attending virtually from different traditional territories you reside, and we sincerely hope that you're getting a lot out of these workshops. Again, we would encourage you to chat as much as you want to in terms of asking questions, providing feedback. The program itself is funded by the Song Keys Nation, the Victoria Native Friendship Center, and the Song Keys Innovation Center, along with support from Van City. Where shall we go next? So before we start with the business plan, let's get Tina. Tina Sevilla is the founder of Kahoot Threads. Where are you, Tina? There you are. And I'm going to make Tina a presenter so she can go through her presentation, and I will get it on the screen. Tina. And that's Tina. So Tina, if you can activate your camera and your microphone, and your picture should be coming up. Where are you? No. Tina, got your mic up? Where are we? The audio's a bit glitchy. Hang on. Stand by. We'll see what we can get here. Tina has disappeared. Well, oh, there she is. She's the presenter. So, Tina, can you activate your camera and your microphone so we can start? Seem to be having a little technical glitch here. Let's give her another minute. Where do I go? Where do I go? You should have a mic. You should have a button with the under my picture. You should have a button for a camera and a microphone. Are you on? Can you see yourself there? No, that's not going to work. Okay. Can anybody hear Tina?
Hi.
Tina?
Yes, I got it.
Oh, there you go. Okay, sorry about that. Okay. Awesome. It does work. Oh.
Yeah.
Okay. Go ahead. I will move this. I will move the slides as you speak.
Okay. Awesome. Thank you, Jay. Well, first of all, I just wanted to say thank you so much for giving me this opportunity to come on and to share my story and share a bit of my journey. And first of all, I'll just introduce myself. My name is Tina Sevilla. I originally come from Treaty 4 territory in the prairies. My dad's side of the family is Soto from Kiskoo's First Nation, and my mom's side of the family is Cree from Papikassis First Nation. I'm married. My husband's name is Niu. We've been married for 16 years and we have 3 children. And we are now visitors on the Wastanik territory on the peninsula here, and we love it here. We've been out here for 9 years now. I always say my husband is Polynesian. He's Samoan from the South Pacific, and I always joke and say that I know he loves me because he spent a couple years in Saskatchewan with me, and And then 9 years ago, we moved out here, and this is as close as you can get to the tropics in Canada. So here we are. But I just wanted to share a little bit of my journey with, even with like a couple of years ago, I joined, I don't know if it was the first one. I wasn't sure if that was the first one, but I joined the Hello, I Am an Entrepreneur at the Victoria Native Friendship Center with Jay. And I was invited by my friend Lillian. She heard about it, and then I came with her. And I just remember, like, I came in there, I didn't know exactly what it was, but I knew inside of me that I knew that like being an entrepreneur was always inside of me. I just didn't know how or when or how I could do it. So I remember coming in there and just not really, I had no idea. I had an idea that I wanted to start a clothing company and starting with t-shirts. I had no idea how to do it. I had no idea where to start. But I just remember taking the course, and I came every week. I think it was 12 weeks. I don't remember how long it was, but it seemed like a long time. We came every week, and I remember like I attended every class, and I asked a lot of questions. That's probably why Jay doesn't forget me, because, and why he asked me to be on this call is because I did talk a lot and I asked a lot of questions during that time. But even during that time, I knew I wanted to start a clothing company, but I didn't really have a clear vision on what to do. So during the classes, I also took, I was nervous. Like, I didn't know how to move forward, but I knew that I had to step out of like my comfort zone and step out of even the fear of the unknown. And I did the one-on-one mentoring classes with Jay, and those really helped me because I was really able to like just ask him. And he was like, when he says that no questions are too stupid or dumb, he's right. Like I could ask anything, and I felt really comfortable with him, and he would answer them, and it was really good. And it was through the whole course and the one-on-one mentoring that I began to get a clear vision of what I wanted to do. And I also got the confidence to think, hey, maybe I can start this, and maybe I can do this. Just knowing as you go through the course, there is a lot of support in place. He'll go through all of it, and we'll hear more about it. But there's a lot of support in place for Indigenous entrepreneurs, and that was one thing that really encouraged me through this. And so through the course, I found that all of a sudden I had this vision of what I wanted, a vision with a clothing company and what that would look like for me. And so my vision and it was my why, along with that vision, my why of doing the clothing company was that I wanted to highlight Indigenous artists, and I wanted to tell their stories, and we wanted to put their art on our clothing, and then we would sell our clothing, and they would get a royalty of everything that we sold. And so that came clear through the course as I continued to have the mentoring classes with Jay, and just went through the course that became more clear to me. And so we continued, and through that, and even through that, things got more and more clear. Like, so, I think that first picture that was showing me so what happened was that I come out of there, I'll get to that picture right away, but I come out of the classes and I had a vision all of a sudden of what I was going to do. And but things were still not really clear. And I remember coming out of the course, and I remember my vision was to work with Indigenous artists. And so I had this Indigenous artist that popped into my mind from back home in Saskatchewan. And I remember calling him and saying, hey, I had this vision in my head of what I wanted, and I was trying to get him to get it. And I said, can you do this for me? Can you paint this for me? And I will pay you for it. And so he charged me $100, and he started to paint this something that I had in my head for me. And I gave him the $100 and I got it back, and I was really disappointed because it would look nothing like I thought in my head. But I felt a bit defeated after that because I had this vision of working with artists. Like, this was my vision, but the first one was a fail. Like, I felt like it was a fail, but I realized later it really wasn't a fail because it just kind of taught me the direction that I didn't want to go, or what I needed, what wasn't going to work for me. But I remember having a conversation with one of my friends, and because I just kind of felt, I felt a bit stuck there. And I had a conversation with one of my friends, and she said, well, you become an artist. And I'm not really an artist. Like, I'm creative, and but I'm not like an artist that would draw. And I remember she challenged me on that, and I said, so one night I was like, okay, I'm going to do this. So then I began to draw, and I actually drew that first picture of that t-shirt. The first picture was our very first t-shirt, and I drew that design, and it is the Canadian maple leaf, and it has, inside of it has Samoan designs, which is my husband and my children. So it kind of represented our family. And so this was actually the very first t-shirt that came out of print. And you could tell I was pretty excited there. But that's what happened. And we kind of went off of Canada Day, and we used that. We put the design out probably about a month or a month and a half before Canada Day. And then we, a part of our vision was that we always wanted our family to be really a part of it. And so my children and I were there for the first time when everything came out of the very first printing, and like, it was just exciting. But you can see this picture of me sitting on the floor with all these t-shirts all over. So we used Canada Day, and it kind of exploded. Like, well, to me, it exploded. Like, I remember people wanted, all we used was social media, and we just put it out there, and people wanted the t-shirt. And so we found ourselves sending this t-shirt all over Canada. And we probably sold close to 500 t-shirts. And this is me. I would wake up at like 6 o'clock in the morning, and my house was a bit transformed. One room was full of boxes and t-shirts all over with tags of like where it had to go, the name of the person, and all of this stuff. And you can see on the right at the bottom there with the orange highlighter, that was my really professional spreadsheet that I used at the time. I had no idea how to do that. So, and it's sad to say that my spreadsheets still kind of look like that sometimes. But that was kind of where we started. But I remember putting in long days. Like, I remember waking up at 6 o'clock and being in my pajamas all day till like 11 o'clock at night, and I would still be the same, working in the same place and trying to get these orders filled. And so that was kind of the beginning of our time. One of the things with that is, one of the most exciting things here, you see all these kids in the t-shirt. That was from my community back home in Saskatchewan, and we had to do an order for a kids camp on the reserve, and I was really excited about that. Was one of my proud moments. I also did one, I think I have a picture of it, of a volleyball team that we did for back home. And when there's something about like having your home community behind you that just kind of gives you this, like, you can do this, I can do this. And so that's kind of something that has been really exciting for me, is that having these big orders, like, these were big proud moments for me. And this one, you can see, this is me and my children as the printing is coming off. Our family, our children have always been a huge part of what we are doing. And they've always, one of my youngest son there, this was a few years ago, so he's a little bit older, but my youngest son there is he loves to draw, and he wants to be one of the artists for our t-shirts. So one of these days soon, we're going to put some of his art on some t-shirts to get out there. So one of the biggest things about that, you can see that's where my son also, we were taking some orders to the post office. But one of the big things so we had the whole Canada Day thing, and then all of a sudden it was kind of like crickets. It was like, okay, now what? Like, we kind of didn't know where to go from there, and we didn't know what to do. We didn't know how to move forward, because we were kind of going off of this high that was coming down to low, because now we didn't really know what to do. And I think that's kind of been one of our things, is that pushing ourselves to just move forward no matter what. And on this side, this is my daughter here. My children have always been my models, and it's literally been like an iPhone, and then I'm like, just come on, like I sometimes I have to bribe them to get them out there and model for me. But this is my daughter, and this design that my daughter is wearing is actually our first design that we worked with a real artist that we gave our first royalty for. So that was also a really big exciting thing for me, is that we were able to give our first artist a royalty, and that was the design. So we got an artist from back home in Saskatchewan, and she designed an Honor Your Roots Anishinaabe design, which is a part of who we are also as SODO. We're also Anishinaabe, so that was really a big highlight for us. And and we got to give our first royalty. This is a picture of the volleyball team that we made t-shirts for. I mean, we made warm-up jerseys for. And then this is our first artist. And that's something that we're really proud to stand behind, that we can give our artists a royalty, that we're kind of doing something that's bigger than ourselves. I think that kind of keeps us going too. Another part of who we are and our why is that we love to not only just give to the artists, but we have a few things that are, I love to write handwritten notes to anyone who orders a t-shirt, and I mail it away. I always write a handwritten note to them. Our clients, like our customers, are very important to us. Our artists are very important to us. So integrity is very important to us as a company. I think in closing, I'm almost done, but one of the things is that I feel like if I was to leave any kind of advice to you on getting started, I feel like right now I still have a lot to learn. Like I don't know a lot. Sometimes I feel like, what the heck am I doing? Like I don't even know where I'm doing. I don't know who I think I am doing this, but I sometimes feel stuck through all of this. But one thing that has helped me is that if I continue to move forward, even though I don't know what the hell I'm doing, but I'm still moving forward, that I will learn through the things that I don't want to do anymore, or the things that are working for us and that I want to move towards. I feel like another thing is, some questions. Okay. One thing was that I really felt like, before I get to your questions, I will just finish this really quick. But I just felt like one thing that I kind of stuck with is I was asking questions. I actually, at the beginning when I was starting out, I actually hired a mentor. I paid a $400 mentorship fee to have this guy who's doing exactly what I wanted to do, who I've looked up to, he's Indigenous from Saskatchewan and started a t-shirt company. And so I paid the $400 mentorship fee so that I can have him at anytime I needed to ask questions. So that has really helped me a lot too. And I think one of the biggest things for me is to always, always, always stay connected to your why. And I find that I've had many really, really smart people, business people, come along the way and give us advice and tell us, you should do this, you should do that, you should start ordering this, you should all of these things. And when we felt like we went in these different directions, sometimes we would feel like this doesn't really, I would feel a bit overwhelmed, or I just wouldn't feel good in my heart. And so we would have to start asking ourselves, okay, what is our why? Why are we doing this? And so we would bring ourselves back. And sometimes it felt like we were moving backwards, but we would feel more at peace at where we are. So it says, how long did it take you to start your business? It's kind of hard I don't know, to start it, it was just a matter of doing that first design and then putting it on social media. For me, that's what some people would look at starting up as having a lot of things in order. I had nothing in order. I just did it. And I still don't have everything in order. So I feel like maybe I'm still starting up. It's been a couple of years. I started in 2017 and it's been a couple of years and I still don't have a lot of things in order like I probably should. But when I started, I just did it. What was the hardest part? The hardest part for me was always staying connected to my why, I think. And not going off track when I feel like there's people that are smarter than me and that are more successful in business than me telling me to do something else or that I should move this direction. And wanting to do that because, hey, they're smarter than me and they know more than me, but always having to bring myself back. I think that's kind of been one of the hardest things. Who have helped me? Who helped you start up? Well, this course helped me a lot. I think I had a few friends in different areas that helped me in different areas. So that, I don't know if that helps or if that really, where did you get the idea? I always had a connection. Like I would go out and I always have this connection to like, I want to start some kind of a fashion or clothing or something like that. I just kind of always had that in my heart, but I didn't, my why and I always had this thing for enhancing Indigenous culture and Indigenous art and stuff like that. So I think that kind of just come together. You have employees now? Just my children. Just our family, I think. We've kind of just kept, I don't feel like I'm that big yet. We can still handle it with just our family. Sometimes I'll pay my kids $20 to tag t-shirts and stuff like that, or my father-in-law. Where can I buy your stuff? So we just set up an Etsy shop. Even that, I'm like, I don't know if this is the right direction, but I'm moving forward. So I set up an Etsy shop, and it is Chahu Threads. Also, we've sold most of our sales, actually all our sales have been done through social media. And so I'm still in place of having to set up like a website. We have a website up, but it's not really compatible with the way we're running and selling things. So the best place is probably go to Facebook and to Instagram and our Etsy shop, which is Chahu Threads. So we've been selling through this COVID-19 time. I've actually learned how to run an Etsy shop. So for me, that has been a pretty good step for us. And we actually have, so they figure out everything for us, all our shipping and everything. So that has been way easier for me to do than through just inboxes on social media. But yeah, I think I'm pretty much done. Thank you so much, Jay.
Well, thank you, Tina. That's awesome. Hang on. Okay, that's great. I wonder what the sound thing is here. I'm going to unplug this. Just give me a second here. That should be better. Good. Well, thank you. Now, Tina was one of our star participants a number of years ago, and it was awesome. Her spirit and enthusiasm, and she asked a lot of questions. I don't think there were any dumb questions, but there were some interesting questions, and it was great. It was fun working with her. She was very enthusiastic. She was a great motivator to everybody else who was in the workshop, and it was a great experience. So that just gives you a kind of example of what it's like working or using some of the benefits from these workshops, using some of the mentor services, connecting with other people who have succeeded, and just making a go of it and never giving up. Nobody said it was easy. Nobody said it was easy. But business is a heck of a lot of fun. So I assume everybody can hear me now. Yes, good. Yes. Somebody give me a yes. A thumbs up. Yes. Okay. Again, thank you, Tina. That was awesome. As usual, you really haven't lost any of your entrepreneurial spirit. If anything, you've gotten a little more proactive, a little tougher. I'm kind of proud of you. You're one of our stars. Okay. Now, for those of you who weren't here at the beginning, I would like to reacquaint you before we get started here with the awards competition, because that's pretty important. We do have an awards competition where we are awarding cash and in-kind prizes. And it's for the most interesting, the most innovative, novel, and the most serious business opportunities. There is a 3-page submission form, which we ask you to fill out so that you can find out more about your business idea and judge it, because we do have limited funds, but the funds we are going to be distributing are anywhere between $500 and $1,000 for the best businesses. And I think that's pretty exciting, because from what we've seen in the past, $500 or $1,000 goes a long way in starting a new business. So the submission form is available on www.helloiamanentrepreneur.com/thriving. There is an award submission form on there. It's a Word document, very easy for you to fill in. Don't be limited by the space. If you want to write more, again, it's a Word document, so it can be expanded, and get it submitted to vithriving@gmail.com, so it will come to my attention. Subject, put in awards. If you need any help, if you have any questions, then give me a call or drop me an email. So that's, there we go. For some reason you are breaking up. Oh, okay. Anyway, so that's the award. So let's get back to the presentation today. We will start here. Everybody enjoys stories. And, we talked about the coffee shop and talked about the importance of doing market research and what market research is all about. So I thought I would share one of the stories of something that I lived through in the past in my consulting practice. We had one of the major health products companies come to us, and what they wanted to do is make these diapers out of natural materials. And they were looking at peat moss. And they asked us to do research for the best source of raw materials. And the place that they had kind of zeroed in on was in Russia. And they asked us to check. And the reason they used us is because it's third party. They didn't want their name associated with the research. They wanted to come independently and give them an appraisal. So we came back to them after about a month, researching all the locations they gave us. And the one they had chosen, we said, we don't think it's a very good location for you to work with. Now, keep in mind, this is a multinational company. I mean, you buy their products probably every day. And they said, well, why? I mean, they have the best quality and the largest quantities of peat moss, and we can process it and integrate it into these disposable kids' diapers, and they'll be all natural. And so we said, yes, the problem is the kids will glow. The peat moss was located about 150 kilometers from Chernobyl, Russia. And it was still a radioactive hotspot. So can you imagine if they had gotten this peat moss and processed these diapers and started selling them with a radioactive content? And they were shocked. I mean, they had no idea. And this is basic market research. This is a company that's like a Fortune 500 company. And they were actually going to use peat moss from a radioactive site. So there you go. And it just shows you why market research is just so important. So important. Okay. Yeah. Yes, it could be an advantage if you want to find your kids in the dark. Thank you. Thank you, Ted. It's very true that you can spot them anywhere. So let's talk about the business plan. Why do we do a business plan? Can you guys tell me why we do a business plan? Anybody? What do we do a business plan for? For grants? True. Anything else? For direction? Very true. To get funding and stay on track? Yep. For projections of business? These are all great. These are all reasons to do a business plan, okay? But we do a business plan as a game plan for action to determine baby steps of how the business is going to grow, whether it's a startup or expansion. We're going to talk about the purpose of the business plan and the business plan model. And as I mentioned, what we are going to do here today is I'm not going to tell you a business plan. Well, I'm going to say business plan, the executive summary needs to have this and that, and this and that, because you can get that anywhere. I can send you to sites, like hundreds of sites, as I mentioned, and everybody's model is basically the same. What I want to do with you is I want to deconstruct the business plan. In other words, this is part of the business plan that you are doing it. Why are you doing it? And what does it need to have in there in order to appeal to whoever the audience is? And that's really critical, really critical. So, you know, naughty, nice. Is this what you call a business plan? Some people write these business plans in real generalities. And we talked last time about something, to organize yourself, you don't miss anything, to ensure we cover everything we need to succeed. Very true. And that's a blueprint. That's a blueprint and guideline to succeed. Right. That's all very true. But I'm going to show you how business plans are designed for different audiences. Now, what I'm going to do as well is I'm going to convert it, my image to an avatar, because otherwise you see me looking up and down for my notes and stuff. So what I did was I went into the archives and I chose a photograph of myself from about 3-4 years ago. So I'm going to use that as my avatar while we discuss some of the elements of the business plan, okay? Here we go. Yeah. That was about 4 years ago. Maybe 4.5. Okay. So one of the things I will show you here is there's a really great video on how to write a business plan. So we will fly that by you here. Give me a minute. Do here, oops, do that, and play. Is that in here? We'll start it. Huh? Yeah. Okay, we'll start again. Taking you on where you want. Your business is 6 factors and will have complete your business idea, making sure you cover all the angles in actuality and you set on. The first section will accept summary and being an open business. Action is one part. As many investors and judgments of business on it alone. The great tip is leave the section to the last 2. You'll find it easy to do. That will be a summary on too many other sections. So start with your business. Provide a short description of who you are, what you plan to sell, why, and who. Include your business, identify who the employee is, and any other qualities that make your business stand out. Okay, I'm going to try something else here. If we close that and we run that. Now it's your marketing and sales strategy. Show me that you understand your target market. Okay. We will stop that and we will just get back to the PowerPoint. Hang on. Sorry about that. Technology. Perfect. Okay. I'll get back to where we were on the business plan. Okay. Is the sound better now? Can you hear me? Yes. Please say yes. Yes. Can everybody hear me now? Yes. Okay. Good. So let's look at what areas are in the business plan. And it starts with an executive summary, mission statement, company background, product description, marketing plan, competitor analysis, SWOT, operations, financial planning, timelines. Once you've got all that put together, you've got a business plan. But it's not that easy, because a business plan has to be a very targeted piece of information. So you have to say, why are you doing the business plan? And most importantly, who is going to be reading it? A business plan is very, very audience specific and user specific. So depending on who your end readership is, it will dictate as to what is going to be in the business plan and how it will be structured. So it's very different for different audiences. And this is really critical to understand. So before we go into the various elements of the business plan, I want to talk to you about what each type of reader is looking for. If you're doing the business plan for funding, and the funding could be government funding, it could be private sector funding, whatever, or bank funding, working with Van City or any other bank, you have to justify your idea. That's why I'm getting feedback through the phone or something. Again, I don't understand this. Hang on, let's see if I can correct this. Let's see. Is that any better? I think I was getting overlap of systems. Is that any better? Yes, no? Hopefully. Lex? Yes, okay. Good. Yeah, it had doubled up on the system, so I was repeating everything that was being shown. Okay, so you have to justify your idea. You have to prove it. In other words, if you're coming to me and I am the funder and I'm the guy with the checkbook, I will say to you, well, how do I know your idea is going to work? What have you done? What market research? Show me that there's a market there. And that's one of the first things that everybody will say. Who are you selling to? And how are you going to reach that audience? Do you have any orders or letters of intent or letters of interest or letters of support? Anything like that that you can get will help validate your business plan or justify that the idea will work. Show me your personal resume. Do you have experience in this area? Do you have any assets? You know, what assets do you have, whether it's equipment or cash or vehicles or whatever? What is your balance sheet? Do you have any strength that you can bring to the business? What are the use of the funds? If I lend you the money, what are you going to use it for? Really important, okay? And if I lend you the money, do you have the ability to reimburse? Now, tomorrow you are going to hear from a couple of funders. One is Futurepreneur Canada, and the other is Victoria Community Microlending. And they will emphasize this kind of stuff, that you have to have the ability to reimburse. Then they will look at the risk level. And if this is very risky, especially if you're looking to develop something brand new, doesn't have any experience in the marketplace, they will be a little bit cautious. And also, what business experience do you have? If you've been a metal worker and or a woodworker and you want to open up a restaurant, they will be very suspicious. As a matter of fact, if that does happen, just send me all your money, because there's a very good chance. I mean, there's some sectors that are really hard to get into, and that's the restaurant business. So unless you have lots of experience in it, they will get very nervous and edgy. So when you're looking at funders, whether it's government funders or bank funders, these are kind of some of the highlights that they are going to be asking about. Any questions about this? So this is for funders. Now, we haven't gotten into the details of what's in a business plan. We've just covered, if you're looking for funding, this is the kind of focus that you need to have. Okay, I bet you if I plug this in now, it should be fine. Hang on, and I can hear myself. Does that make any difference? No? Okay, good. Now we'll look at the next. Okay, yeah. It's not enough just to show up. You have to have a business plan. Everybody will ask you for a business plan. Nobody really likes doing business plans. I don't think there's anybody who likes to beat themselves up and do business plans. It can be tedious, but if you know what you're doing and you know why you're doing it, it will be a lot easier for you to get a business plan done, and one that you can live with. Now we're going to try running another video here, so give me a minute. Let's see if it'll work. You have a fantastic idea. These are videos that are...
Getting Inside a Lender's Head, a 4-part series for entrepreneurs. Part 1, you've got a fantastic business idea. You've got a fantastic business idea. Congratulations. You're convinced it'll be a winner. Fill a void in the marketplace and make lots of money. All you need now is a bit of cash to get it started. You've invested your own savings, your friends and family are putting what they can, but you're still short. You need a small loan from a lender, a credit union, or bank. Welcome to Getting Inside a Lender's Head, a 4-part video series by Van City Credit Union for entrepreneurs just like you. At Van City, we loan millions of dollars to thousands of small businesses, and we've learned a few things that will help you make a great first impression with any lender. Whether you need to borrow $1,000, $10,000, or $100,000, the tips in this series will help you understand what a lender like Van City looks for in a business plan. And that's your first tip. Develop a well-written, simply formatted, concise, and easy-to-read business plan. Sure, we've all heard that story of an entrepreneur who got cash based on an idea written on the back of a cocktail napkin. But that's probably not going to happen to you. You need to write a proper plan. And you need to have it reviewed by a business advisor or mentor before you start looking around for a lender. But it must be your plan in your own words, and it must be both passionate and logical. Your business warning, these may not be areas you're most interested in. If you're like most entrepreneurs, you're a risk taker and you love your new business idea. But most that show business viability. Remember, the money they invest belongs to someone else, and so lenders are cautious. That would be your second tip. Make sure your financial, marketing, and operations plans are thorough. What makes these areas thorough? Check out parts 2, 3, and 4 of Getting Inside a Lender's Head.
So now we're back to, so those are videos produced by Van City, and there's a whole series of them, and they're usually pretty good. So they will be part of the resource library. On the Thriving website, there is a section of resource library that has videos and examples of business plans and all sorts of other resource documents. So you should probably tap into that and have a look. Now, if you're doing a business plan for partners, that's a completely different animal. Because for partners, it's something called OPM. Does anybody know what OPM stands for? Anybody? That's right. Other people's money. And partners are going to be very nervous unless you show them certain things that they need to see. Okay. One is how much money you're looking for and what the returns might be. Because the things that the investors are looking for, it's called PPE, profit, that they're going to make profit based on your business idea, protection, that this is a reasonably secure investment, and exit. How do they get out? Because partners aren't there forever. Partners will probably want to leave somewhere and sell their shares and make some money based on the hard work of the business. Division of responsibility. That's really important because you have to determine who is going to be doing what in a business. A partner is more than just money, because if you bring in a partner and everything is great and that's the honeymoon and you spend the money, what then? They have to bring more to the table than, because that's what we talk about, what each of you brings to the table. And it's really critical to define what somebody brings to the table in terms of a partnership. You know, are they bringing in sales leads or contracts? Are they good salespeople? Are they good technical people? Are they good graphics designers? I mean, depending what you need in a partnership, it should be more than just their money. Okay. Limited risk factors. I mean, you are dealing with other people's money, and they will want to know that the risk factors are reasonable. I mean, every business has a risk, but has to be something that's reasonable. Okay. How do you propose to access the market? And we talk about this, and we're going to get into it more. When you're getting into a marketplace, you are stealing business from somebody. The market is only so big. Unless you're developing a brand new technology or a new product or something that's not really out there or something that's better than what's already out there, you have to access a market. And that market is already taken up by a whole bunch of other people, other competitors. So people are going to say is, how are you going to steal business away from other competitors? Why are you seeking partners? Very important to define what you want out of the partnership. The partners like something called the carrots. And the carrot is, where is this thing going long term? In other words, I'm investing X money now, but where is this going to be down the road? Because I want to know that if I'm putting in X dollars, I'm going to be able to take out X plus, plus, plus. And the long-term potential, or the carrots, are something that investors and investment funds are always looking at. Not so much banks, not so much funders, but certainly partners. And the window of opportunity, to stress that the timing is now. And that's the one thing you stress with partners and investors, is that the window of opportunity is a narrow window of opportunity, and you need their participation as quickly as possible. Clear so far? Any questions? No? Lex, the volume okay now? I'm trying to adjust it. Nope. That's wrong. Lex? Yes, the volume is good. Okay, good. So I think I'll hold off on the videos until I figure out what's going on here. Okay. If you're doing a business plan for yourself, it's really the Bible for moving forward. You have to have a realistic, achievable goals. What exactly are you looking to do? You have to have budgets, realistic, conservative budgets, and numbers that you can meet. And it doesn't really do you any good if you're doing a business plan and wearing rose-colored glasses. It really doesn't do you any good at all. You know, normally when they say that the entrepreneur has done a pro forma or a projection, they say, well, double the cost and cut the revenues in half, and that may be a rule of thumb as to where a business might realistically be going. Realistic market penetration. I've had people come to me and say, I want to displace Google, or I want to be the number one X company on all of Vancouver Island. And that's quite a challenge. That is quite a challenge. And you have to be realistic about what your expectations are. You know, if you come to me and you say the market is $1 million for South Vancouver Island and you want to capture 5% or 10% and you have a good game plan for how to do that, that makes sense. But if you say you're going to displace the largest company out there, you better have a good plan as to how you're going to do that, and probably good pockets. Timelines and milestones. Anybody who comes to me, and this is me talking because I review an awful lot of business plans, and I actually review business plans for a couple of investment funds. They asked me to look at it and see how realistic it is and where the loopholes are. And if somebody comes to me and say it's a brand new business and they're going to be launching within X months, and they're going to be achieving these kind of sales within 3 months or 6 months, I will question it, because nothing happens that fast. I mean, you have to work at it for your business. So there has to be realistic milestones. Affordable market strategies. Marketing tends to be quite costly, and that's one of the reasons we cover guerrilla marketing, and Lex will be covering guerrilla marketing with you when he does his marketing workshops, and a step-by-step game plan, an action plan, step-by-step, how you're going to do it, what the milestones are, what you're looking to accomplish with each and every step that you're taking. So you see, if you're doing it for yourself, the key word here is realistic, 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 affordable. Be as realistic as you can, because it's a lot easier to exceed your expectations and your projections and your market share than it is to start backtracking, because that becomes very demoralizing. So the last slide before we start talking about some of the real specifics of each section of the business plan is these are some of the tips that I have learned. I've written hundreds of business plans. I've reviewed hundreds of business plans in just about every sector, everything from technology to medical supplies to forestry, woodworking, arts, retail, cosmetics, you name it. I've reviewed in so many, and these are some of the keys that I'm talking about in terms of what you design into the business plan. Okay, quite important. So I'm going to change this avatar here. Okay, get to the point. Don't circle and circle and circle. Tell the person, and I'm assuming you're doing this for somebody else at this point in time. Tell the person exactly what you want to do, how you're going to do it, how you're going to succeed, and the fact that you are the best candidate to do it. Don't beat around the bush with what we call motherhood statements, and this is something that we talked about last time. Nobody likes motherhood statements. A motherhood statement is something that nobody can say no. Nobody can say, oh, what's a good example? Here's a good example. It says, this will be a major force in the industry and set new standards for quality and price. Well, I actually copied this from a business plan that somebody sent me, and it was just before I threw it in the garbage, because it doesn't tell me anything. I mean, they're talking in circles, they're talking in motherhood. And, you know, motherhood is also when you're selling, and you hear somebody say, car salesmen do this all the time. Do you need your wife here to help make a decision as to whether you want to buy the car or not? People who are telemarketing for different charities, you really want to support kids starving in Africa, don't you? I mean, you want to help them out. And nobody's going to say no. You got to be nuts to say no. So that's motherhood, because it doesn't really tell anything. It's a statement where you can't say no, but it doesn't carry a lot of value in a business plan. Don't brag too much. People don't like it. People who read the business plan don't like it. There's a difference between bragging and telling everybody how wonderful you are and how successful you are versus laying out, this is what I did. You know, I ran this company, or I was an employee in this company. I had 10 people working for me. We brought the sales up from 0 to 20,000 a month, 50,000 a month. Give them facts. Don't just tell them how wonderful you are. Okay, don't just keep bragging. Use graphics and charts. Make it visually pleasing. And when you're doing a business plan or a presentation for somebody else, you have to develop it for the lowest common denominator. And that means assume that the person you're writing it for doesn't like to read or doesn't have a lot of time to read. So you want to make it very visually pleasing. That's why people use charts, and that's why people use photographs. And if they're talking about a product that they're looking to bring to market or a service that they're bringing to market, throw in a couple of the pages from your website or your Facebook page, or this is the best business plan. I think the history of business plans, people are saying they never read a business. People are saying they've never read a business plan. I don't know about that. Anyways, so make it very visually appealing. If you're quoting stats and numbers, that's great, because that's justification of the market. You could say there's 20 competitors out there. I did some research. There's 40 people a day walking in and out, blah, blah, blah. The community or the Chamber of Commerce, says that the market is X dollars in South Vancouver Island. There's room to grow, blah, blah, blah. So state that and state where that information came from, okay? And again, try to avoid motherhood that doesn't really take you anywhere. And it doesn't, and what it does is it shows the person who's reading it that you really haven't given it a lot of thought, that you're really saying, well, I'm going to be the biggest and the best, and this is what I'm going to do. And I'm not really going to tell you how to do it because I haven't thought about it, but I know I want to be number one. I want to put Starbucks out of business. I want to develop a coffee shop that's going to attract 90% of the government employees in downtown Victoria. Well, these are very hopeful statements, but they're not realistic, and they're very general. And the people who read this business plan hate motherhood. When I read a business plan, I hate anything that smells of motherhood. So what we're going to do now is we are going to talk about the specific areas, and this is where we start to deconstruct the business plan. I will show you what has to be in each section, but I will also show you, if I'm the reader, what needs to be in that plan so that it's effective. Because I could just say, provide an enthusiastic snapshot. I'm going to tell you as a reader, as somebody who is sitting with the checkbook, what I need to see in each of the sections of the business plan. So what I'd like to do is take a 10-minute break, no more than 10 minutes, because we have a lot of ground to cover. And at 7:15, we will start deconstructing the business plan. So we have a biological break, a smoke break, a snack break, and I will see you all back at 7:15, no later, please. Thank you.
Getting Inside a Lender's Head, a 4-part series for entrepreneurs. Part 4, offer.
Okay, I hope everybody is back and everybody's got their new snacks in front of them while we go through the different components of a business plan. I am going to try to run this one video one more time, and please somebody tell me if the audio is good and the video is good. I'm hoping that I fixed it, so please let me know. Okay, Lex, I'm leaving it up to you. Tell me if the audio and video is good, otherwise I'm gonna give up on videos for
Starting a business, then you'll need a plan, a roadmap, taking you on the strictest, fastest route to where you want to go. Your business plan will include 6 sections and will help you think through your business idea, making sure you've covered all the angles and eventualities before you set off. The first section is the executive summary, presenting an overview of your business. This section is vital as many investors make judgments about your business based on it alone. The great tip is to leave this section until last to write. Once you've written the others, you'll find it easier to do, as it will be a summary of the key points you make in other sections. So start with your business details. Provide a short description of who you are, what you plan to sell, why, and to whom. Include the location of your business, identify key employees, and any other qualities that make your business stand out. Now enter your marketing and sales strategy. Show that you've done your homework, that you understand your target market. Outline why you think people will buy what you want to sell, and detail how you plan to sell to them. Then add in your management team and personnel. People reading your plan need to believe and have trust in the management of your business. So outline your credentials and the people you plan to recruit. Then detail your setup, explaining what facilities the business will have, from your premises to your management information systems and IT, and explain how it will deliver the product or service to the customer. Lastly, list your financial plan and projections. This part translates everything you've said in the previous sections into numbers. It will tell you whether the business will be worthwhile or whether you're wasting your time and or money. Your business plan will change as your business grows. It will help keep you focused, so you know where you are and where you're supposed to be, so that you can correct your course as needed. Here are our 5 top tips. Keep it brief. If it takes too long to write, it will take too long to read. Get rid of the fluff. Cut the waffle and just get to the point. Be realistic. Be honest and note all the challenges facing your business. Use visuals. Graphs, charts, and images can help bring your idea to life. And be creative so that your business stands out and grabs attention. And for a bit of extra help, download the business plan templates from the Business Wales website.
So that's a pretty good video of an overview of what's included in the business plan. And they cover off a lot of what I've already talked about, which is what I call motherhood, they call fluff. Get rid of the fluff, get to the point, make it interesting, make it exciting. A business plan has to capture somebody's attention. If it doesn't capture the attention, it's like reading a book. If you can't get past the first dozen pages, you're not going to read the book. You know, you're going to put the book down and that's going to be the end of it. So let's look at all the various sections. And I think for the videos, you know, the videos are good. The sound is sometimes a little wobbly, so you have to bump the sound on your PC or laptop. But really, you have to be addressing the person who is going to be reading your business plan. And you have to kind of put yourself in their shoes. What are they looking for? What do they need to get out of each section of the business plan? And that's what we're going to do here in terms of deconstructing it. So you have the executive summary. People always say write it last because you're going to be taking the best of the rest of the business plan and condensing it to 2 pages. It has to provide an enthusiastic snapshot. it's your sales document. A lot of funders, a lot of partners, investors, they rarely make it past the executive summary. If they're interested in the executive summary, if it captures their attention, they may read on. But otherwise, if they look at it, they'll say, it's not for me, or it's not very exciting, or I don't really know what they do. I read one business plan that was submitted to an investment fund that I do a lot of work with. And quite frankly, it took me 20 pages just to figure out what the hell they do. I mean, they kept talking about how important they are and how great the team is, and stuff, but they never explained what they do and what they're looking for and what they're asking for. So, I mean, it was just a waste of time. The executive summary is your sales document. It should have excitement. It should be interesting for the reader, and it should tell the reader, yeah, this is really cool. I'm going to read on, because the executive summary, hits the right buttons. It interests me. It gets me excited. I'm curious. Tell me more. That's what the executive summary is. Tell me more. So if you can put some graphics in there, put some pictures or a chart, and also the ask of what you're looking for in terms of what you need from the funder or investor, that all goes into the executive summary. And to do it all in 2 pages, and it's not easy, but it's important. Next, you have the business description and the vision. And what you're looking to do with the business, where you want this business to go. And this is important because if somebody is looking to invest in the business, they may not be looking to invest in where it is today, but they might be interested in investing now because they see where it's going down the road. So what are your business goals and objectives? If it's for an expansion of an existing business, what has the business done to date? And also the company's principles. Who is behind the company? Who is the founder? Who is running it? What is their experience? Why do they have the ability to make this thing succeed? And that is one of the overall key points that funders, government funders, partners, investors, anybody is looking for is, are you the right person to make this thing succeed? And you have to prove that to somebody. Because again, you are writing this business plan not for yourself, but for the reader. And you are writing it for the lowest common denominator, assuming somebody who's going to read it doesn't like to read a lot, doesn't have a lot of time, is impressed with graphics, charts, pictures. That's what captures their attention. Make sure that that's all in the business plan. I should actually state at this point in time, if any of you have any business plans or drafts of business plans that you want me to review, I will gladly do it and give you my comments and let you know what I think from my viewpoint, what works and what doesn't work, what you're doing right and what you may be doing wrong, and where the holes are in your business plan. So even as you're developing a business plan, you can run this thing by me. I really don't mind spending some time having a good look at it. Here's another example of fluff. Make lots of money. It's a good concept in the business plan, but you've got to expand the idea a bit. And I've actually seen that in business plans where somebody wants to be super successful and make tons of money. I said, yeah, but what's it doing for me? You're asking me to write a check to help support this business, So you have to be careful about what you phrase in a business plan. Okay, so a definition of the market. This is an important part of any business plan because people will say, who are you selling to? Who is going to buy your product? Who is going to contract you for a service? So you have to describe your business, the industry, and the outlook, like the trend. And there's always reports or articles in newspapers or magazines or trade journals as to where the market is going. perfect example is somebody came to me in the last series of workshops, and they wanted to open up, what's it called? A vaping store. And I worked very hard to convince them not to do it because it was a fad, not a trend, and government regulations were coming on board. And I said, just do more homework before you start to commit a whole bunch of your money. And they ended up not doing it, and then they thanked me for saving them a ton of money. Review the market research that's done and what the conclusions are. It's not just a matter of doing tons of research, whether it's reports or competitor research, etc. You have to say, well, this is what it's telling me, and this is how it impacts the business that I'm looking to establish. Define the critical needs of your perceiving or existing the market. Okay, so you're looking at a market, and the market could be for selling smoked salmon, just as an example, okay? Or let's say graphic design. So you look and you say, okay, there's 150 graphic designers in South Vancouver Island, and this is what they're offering. I've gone through all their websites, and this is everything that they're offering on their websites, etc. But what I'm offering is a little more. I'm offering one-stop shopping. In other words, to do their web, their social media, their marketing, their branding, everything in a combined package. I'm going to be working with a couple of other professionals, and we're going to offer one-stop shopping. That's different. That's a critical need of the market where you're offering more than what the market is doing. Okay. Identify your target market. You will hear the term target market over and over and over again. Who are you going to sell to? Who are you going to sell to? Who is going to buy from you? Who is going to contract you? Everybody will ask that. All the funders will ask it. Partners will ask it. If I'm looking at a business plan, that's one of the first questions I always ask. You know, who is going to buy from you? Provide a general profile of your target clients. You know, it could be the young professional, 3 to 5 years in business, looking to expand their business, needs help in marketing. They're very techie oriented, but they have gaps and they're not growing fast enough. They live in a certain area of South Vancouver Island or North Vancouver Island or mainland. This is what I'm going after. This is my target audience. And, the one thing you have to be careful of is you are not selling to the entire free world. You can't make your target audience so big that you don't even know how to approach them. Your target audience has to be well defined. You should zero in on your target audience as much as you can. And if you can do a profile of your target audience, then, somebody had come to me and they were doing consulting in motivational consulting and helping people get their act together in terms of how they run their business and how they build their business. And she was zeroing in on realtors, lawyers, and accountants. And that's all she serviced. And she went after them, and she set her target market for those specific groups. And she was very successful. When she ran her workshops, when she ran her marketing, that's how she approached, that's who she approached. And her marketing approach dealt specifically with what a lot of her potential clients were looking for and helping them get their act together in their business. So, okay. And describe what market share you currently have. It might be 0, or what you anticipate. So if you can get a hold of some statistics that say the market share or the market is 5 million and I think I can get 10% of the market within 2 years, that's probably a reasonable assumption. But somebody will always ask you, how? How are you going to do that? So that's really, really important, defining your market. And we saw that in the coffee shop research package that we that we discussed last week. Union Pacific was very upscale. The coffee shop kiosks or the vans selling coffee at the street market, that was a different marketplace. And everyone has their defined marketplace, and that's where you have to be very specific in who you're targeting. And I see a comment here from Ted talking about vaping smoked salmon. Interesting. Okay. Oh, God, mixing two concepts here. Thanks, Ted. Okay, so a description of your products or services. I need to know, now I'm the reader, I need to know exactly what you are selling or what you are intending to sell. Really critical. Don't just tell me the industry, tell me specifically what it is that you're going to be promoting, whether it's a product or a service or your artwork or a cooperative or a not-for-profit. Tell me exactly what you're going to bring to the marketplace, okay? Once you've done that, tell me how your products or services are competitive. Because to say that you're going to be bringing a product to the market, but you're going to be 5 times the price of some of your competitors. And I used to get this all the time when I had a number of technology clients. They would show me something that they had developed. And I remember one in particular, they had this very sophisticated, well, it looked like a laser pointer, and it had a whole bunch of different applications. But they had developed this without doing any market research. But it was a really neat gizmo. And I said, well, what are you going to do with it? And they said, well, we're going to sell these for $249. And I said, well, who's going to buy it? And they said, well, we don't know, but look how great this is. Look what it does. And, so they didn't last very long. So you can't work in a vacuum. You have to know what's out there in terms of competition and exactly what your products and services are being offered. And if possible, wherever possible, show me pictures, show me drawings. If it's a real estate project that you're looking to do, show me an artist's rendering of what this thing is supposed to look like. Wherever you can, include any backup information that can get me more interested, more excited, that can get my arms around exactly what you're looking to do. The next section is organization and management. So provide a description of how your company is organized. An organizational chart really means who's doing what in your business. And if it's a one-man show, just tell me what your skills are in terms of bringing it to the business. The legal structure, whether it's going to be a proprietorship, a partnership, or a corporation, any special licenses, permits for your business, and a brief biography or resume of the key managers, yourself and anybody else you have working in the business. So what does this tell me? This tells me that you will have the ability to deliver on this business plan. That's all I want. I don't care if you have 2 degrees, 10 degrees, 20 degrees, and initials after your name. I need to know that you have the ability to carry out what you promised to do in a business plan. And a business plan is a promise. It's a commitment to meet certain levels, certain milestones. So it's the organization and management tells me that you have the ability, and it doesn't necessarily have to be all you. It can be people that you work with. It could be mentors. It could be advisors. It could be consultants you work with. But you and your team have the ability to deliver what you say you're going to deliver as outlined in your business plan. And when we talk about this competition, this awards competition that we have, I will be looking at a lot of these features to see if you have it well outlined in your submission, because you will have to give in a fair amount of thought to all this, because this is your business. Okay. Marketing and sales strategy. And we have 2 workshops specifically designed for marketing, guerrilla marketing, network marketing, communications, etc. Okay. So who your customers are and what the demand is for your product and service. And we've mentioned this before in another section, but here you're going to be even more specific. Channels of distribution. How are you going to bring your product to market? If it's art, is it going to be through a cooperative? Is it going to be online sales? Is it going to be through a gallery? Are you going to be setting up art shows and events on your own? How are you going to get the product out there? And you can't just say something like, I'm going to use social media. I mean, that's pretty broad-based. You have to get a lot more specific. And we actually have 2 workshops just on social media and getting the word out there in terms of selling on social media and marketing yourself on social media. How you plan to reach your clients and customers, really critical. Why your products or services will be able to compete and meet the needs of the market. And explain your sales strategy, because you are going to be stealing business from somebody. You have to. Unless you're Apple or Tesla or somebody bringing out a brand new brand new product or service, you are going to be grabbing market share from somebody. So your sales strategy will include pricing, how you price yourself, how you promote yourself, what your products are and how they place in comparison to your competition, and placement, where somebody will be able to buy your product. That's the 4 P's of a sales strategy. So you better be explaining that in any business plan. If it's a new business, then you're going to be doing it, like whether it's a new business or an existing business, you're going to be doing a fair amount of numbers crunching. So I will want to know what your startup costs are. And your startup costs are everything you need to spend up until the time that you generate your first dollar of revenue. So it will be marketing, equipment, the legal aspect, putting together your business plan, working with mentors, renting a location if you need to, building your social network, buying equipment, buying computers, point of sale, anything like that, legal fees, anything like that, up until the time that you start selling. Okay? Forget the business plan. Forget the balance sheet. Most don't even ask for a balance sheet anymore. But your income statement. Show me how you're going to make money every year. And show me how you're going to have your cash flow is going to look on a monthly basis for at least 12 months. Some will ask for 24 months. Some will ask for 36 months. Okay. Lillian has asked me, how do we find all these notes on the website? If you email me, I can send you a copy of the notes and the PowerPoints. All these webinars are being recorded, and the recordings will be on the Thriving website. So you'll be able to watch these and extract any information that you're looking for. But if you need any more information or any more of a breakdown or a hard copy of all this, just let me know, and I will gladly send these to you. For an existing business, they're going to ask for an income statement, historical for the last 3 years, cash flow for 12 months. They're going to ask for personal financial statements and any tax returns, etc. So obviously, if you're an existing business, you have some history, you have some returns, and all they really want to do with all this financial information, whether it's for an existing business or a new business, they will want to know that you have the ability to meet your financial obligations, to pay, to reimburse. Now, some of the money you may get is in grants, some is in forgivable grants, low interest loans. Every funder has their own formula, and you'll be hearing from people like Vancity and Futurepreneur and TAC which is the Aboriginal Capital Corporation, of how they work. Some things are reimbursable, some are not. But they will want to know the parts that you have to repay. Do you have the ability to repay? And there's a couple of terms that they will ask you about. For example, what is your break even? And your break even is how much do you have to sell not to lose any money? In other words, zero bottom line. In other words, if I sell $5,000 a month based on the cost of what I'm selling and my overheads, I will be breaking even. Okay, so that's one term. And we'll be going over some of those terms when we talk about budgeting itself, which will be covered mostly tomorrow because it's a topic unto itself. But they will also be asking for stuff like burn rates. And the burn rate is, and you should know about stuff like this, the burn rate is if you don't sell anything, how much money is it going to cost you to keep the doors open? And that's rent, telephone, insurance, legal, accounting, blah, blah, blah. So that's the burn rate. How much is it going to cost you to keep the doors open if you're not selling anything? And the break even is how much do you have to sell not to lose any money? Basically to come out with a zero balance at the end of the day. Is everything clear so far? Hopefully, yes. Good. See, it's always difficult with these webinars because all I can really ask for is your chat responses. When we were doing these on a face-to-face, I could gauge your reaction, and if I looked out and everybody had this expression like, "Oh God, what have we gotten ourselves into?" Then I knew I had to explain it anymore. But if you have any questions, let me know, and it doesn't necessarily have to be today. You can email me any questions you have of any notes you've taken, and I will explain it in greater detail. Anything else that you need to know. So here's a really cutesy cartoons. What's that? I hit the icon. Worst case scenario. When you do your financial projections, and we'll be talking about this in the budgeting, you do 3 sets of financial projections. Worst case, which is kind of what he's got here. Worst case, like low sales, high costs, etc. Realistic, and best case, so that whoever is looking at these numbers will be able to gauge what level of financial projections they're comfortable with. Got that? Okay. Then there's the operational, and this is kind of the boring part, and that's why it's so far back in the business plan. The facilities and location, business license, registration, staffing requirements today, tomorrow, how it works. And if you're dealing with Indigenous funders, they will like to see, and it's only right to see Indigenous staff and employees have the first option in terms of your company. In other words, if you're going to hire staff and bring people in, it should be from the community, support your community, support the youth, really important. And how you propose to operate your business. And we're going to try another Vancity, see how this one works. And you may have to turn up the sound in your computer.
Getting Inside a Lender's Head, a 4-part series for entrepreneurs. Part 4, Operations Plan. When a Vancity lender looks at the operations plan for your business, we want to see proof that your management team will be able to run a profitable business. Pen and paper ready? Then start taking notes. Tip number 1, tell us who's running the show. Your operations plan is all about naming names. Tell us who will be doing what in your business and what their track records are. If you're starting a sole proprietorship, you'll probably be doing all of the work yourself, at least to start. So you have to convince us that you'll be able to handle all the different areas of running your business. If you're lucky enough to have partners, or a board of advisors, or mentors, or a key employee who has a lot of experience will want to know about those people too. Basically, when we look at your operations plan, we're looking for evidence that the person leading your product and service area can do the job. And that the person responsible for marketing and sales has a strong track record in that area. And that your finances are being overseen by someone who has credibility managing cash flows and preparing financial statements. Tip number 2, give us your worst case scenarios. We'll also be looking for a solid analysis of what you think the biggest risks to your business are and how you're going to prepare for those risks. It might sound odd, but you have to tell us how you handle the risk that nobody wants to buy your service or product. Remember, we're looking at your business plan, trying to make an informed decision about whether or not your business is a good risk for our members' money. We need to see a plan for how you pay back the loan if your costs are higher than expected or your sales don't meet expectations. Don't worry that if you show us a plan for the worst case scenario, we might think that's what to expect from your business. In fact, it's quite the opposite. A well-developed and thoughtful business plan shows the lender that you've thought through different scenarios and changing circumstances. That gives us confidence in your operations. So that's what goes on inside a lender's head when she's reading your business plan's operations section. Next, find out what we're looking for.
These Van City videos are good. They're not long, but they really hit home. And I've had a couple of requests for printed copies of, or hard copies of all the PowerPoints. And what I will do, and this is one of the things that we're in the process of doing, is we will take all our PowerPoints, convert them to PDF format, and post them onto the Thriving website so that anybody who wants to review without going through 2 hours of sitting through the webinar again, they'll be able to go through the slides and pick out the key points. And I think that should work out quite well. And we'll be working on that in the next short while. It's all in the plans. But keep in mind, the webinars themselves will be posted on the websites as well. Then you have the conclusions where you're summing everything up. And your conclusions have to state. So by this time, you theoretically have sold either yourself or whoever you're looking to impress with your business plan, that this business will work. You've identified your target market. You've identified your marketplace. You know who's going to buy from you or contract you. And now you're just summing everything up. So your timeline to get started, like, is this a seasonal thing where you need to get started like yesterday? Or is this something that you're hoping to start in the next calendar year or what? So timelines are important. What is the window of opportunity? Do you have to get this started right away? And the timelines will also lay out all the various steps of what you're looking to do and when you're going to accomplish it. So it's part of your action plan. Your risk analysis. These are the identified risks that I have for my business. And this is how I intend to deal with them. Now, there's some risks that you can deal with, and there's others like COVID-19, which is totally unexpected, obviously. And it's, and other risks like that are economic downturns and currency fluctuations and stuff. But the ones where you can control, whether it's competition or opportunity development or making sure that your business has lots of strengths behind it, those are the ones that you have to identify and say how you're going to be dealing with them, how you're going to be promoting them. Restate your ability to run this business and your contributions, whether it's skills, funding, experience, or anything that you can identify that will help get this business going. So the whole idea of the conclusions is to build the comfort level with the reader. Now, again, keep in mind, and we stated this right at the beginning when we talked about the business plan, who are you writing the business plan for? If you're writing the business plan for funders, they're looking for security, whether it's government or a private sector fund. If you're writing it for investors, there has to be more of a sales element and the long-term potential in terms of the carrots as to where this thing is going. So before you start writing the business plan, you have to identify who the potential reader is and what they need to hear, because you have to hit their hot buttons. So that's it as far as business plans go. Any questions? Okay. How long should a business plan be? You know, in the old days, we used to do business plans. I think we used to get paid by the pound. So we used to do business plans that were 75, 100, 150 pages. It depends on the complexity. I would say generally a business plan should not be more than 40 pages, 50 pages max. The other thing that you have is at the end of the business plan is the appendix itself. That's the resume of who you are, evidence of cash or equity you're bringing into the business. It doesn't have to be cash. It can be equity. It can be equipment, sweat equity, know-how, any letters of support or contracts, estimates for any outside contractors you may be using, or suppliers if it's equipment or anything to that effect, or any brochures you've done up, or anything else you want to add in at this point in time. And one of the things, I don't know if I mentioned it or not, but in your conclusions, and this has to be built into your executive summary as well, there has to be something called the ask. Because I'm always amazed how many business plans I read, and nowhere does it say how much they need or what they're looking for specifically. The executive summary at the beginning has to have an ask. The conclusion has to have an ask. What exactly are you looking for? Okay. Is it best to get someone to help you with this? Are there professionals who just do this? Yes, there are a number of businesses that do just business plans. You will hear from TAC tomorrow. No, day after tomorrow. I think it's tomorrow. They will talk about grant funding for business plans. They used to do 75% of the cost of a business plan would be funded by TAC, which is an Indigenous Funding Corporation, at the same time as putting in your request for funding for your project. So that's something that you may want to consider. I believe that Vancity also has a program to help fund business plans, as do Futurepreneurs. So everybody, you know, and there are professionals who can help you with your business plan. There are mentors available. Everybody that you will hear from, whether it's Futurepreneur or Victoria Community Lending, or not so much the bank, but TAC, they talk about their business advisors who can help you with your business plan. So, but keep in mind, this is your business. You don't want somebody writing your business plan from scratch. You want somebody to look at your business plan and help you shape it, or help you make sure that you're saying the right things, or asking for the right amount of money, or asking for more money or less money, or whatever is realistic based on your financial situation and what your needs are. But you don't want to say to somebody, I will hire you to write my business plan. That's wrong, because it's your baby. You have to build the inspiration in your business plan. You have to build the excitement in your business plan. You have to show that you have thought this out very thoroughly, and this is something that you want to do, can do. You've done your homework. You've checked your markets. You know who will buy from you, why they will buy from you, who your competition is, and how you're going to deal with them, and how much money you need to bring your business up and running and what you're going to do with it, and why you think logically that it's going to succeed. So in certain elements, for example, on the marketing side and the branding side, we do have mentors on board, people like Lex Dunn, who you will be hearing from, because he's going to be doing a number of these workshops in terms of getting online or selling online. Chris Cathers, who is our tech guru, will be doing a number of workshops on the technical aspect of running your business. So we have people that can help in terms of mentors as well. And the various funding agencies, as I said, will talk to you about the experts they have on board. And they will talk to you about their business models, and a lot of them are very similar to what we talked about. But what I was working very hard to do here is to show you not just the sections of the business plan, but what people are looking for when they read your business plan. They don't just want to look at numbers. They want to look at numbers that are well thought out. They want to look at markets that you have done your homework and what the homework means. So all that will dictate how serious you are, how serious your venture is, and will increase the potential for getting funding for your business plan. Or if you're doing the business plan for yourself, it will give you the guidance to where is it? I'm looking for one more thing, and then we will. Okay, I want to reemphasize this. Now you will all take note, please. This is the awards competition. Submission date is June 15th, because we need time to look at all the submissions and see which ones merit some financial consideration. There is a Word document at helloiamanentrepreneur.com/thriving. You will see an awards competition submission form. You can download it. It's a Word document. Complete it as best you can. It's 3 pages. We ask a lot of questions because we are giving away a fair amount of money. The awards are limited, so it's going to be for the best business ideas and the most serious business proposals that we see. The awards will be anywhere between $500 and $1,000, which is, I think, significant. And email it to us at vithriving@gmail.com, and in the subject, put in awards. If you need any help filling it in, you can call. You've all got my phone number. It's all over the site. Or you can email me as well. Either way. Tomorrow's session, we will pick up on budgeting. And budgeting is something that people are often fearful of, but we'll go through it all. I'll explain to you exactly what the various terms are in terms of the budgets, what they might ask for. And tomorrow we have 2 funders, which is great. We have Futurepreneur. For those of you 39 or under, Futurepreneur is geared for youthful entrepreneurs. I tried to apply, but they told me I was like a month and a half over their 39-year limit, which I was kind of upset about. And the other one is Victoria Community Microlending, which is smaller community loans, an interesting concept, and they work with entrepreneurs as well. They don't have an age limit, but Futurepreneurs is definitely 39 or under. So tomorrow we're going to start off with budgeting, and we're going to have 2 guest speakers from the funders, which are great. You'll hear directly from them. I'll be handing over the mic and the audio. Anybody have any questions? Did you find this session helpful? Did I confuse the heck out of you? I tried not to. I tried to be as clear as possible. And I was trying to show you the background information, not so much from the headings and the model, but what this all means and what it means from the person who is judging your business plan. So on your page now, can't find the award form. I know it's there. Yeah, I know it's there. It's under Thriving. There's a drop-down menu, and one of them says awards submission form. You might want to refresh your web page, but it's there. So, and yeah, Tina, thank you so much for your story. I'm sure you've inspired a whole bunch of the participants here. I know I always love to hear your enthusiasm and how you've done it all, and I wish you all the success, love, and happiness. You are one heck of an entrepreneur. So that having been said, we're going to sign off for tonight. 6 p.m. tomorrow. See you then. Stay well. Stay safe. Be good. Speak to you tomorrow.